New York City's. It is I, Aib Darbooz, and my man, the indomitable, the aggressive, the antagonist, my man, Bam Bam Bigelow. What up, my man? Listen, my hype right now is on a level that has never been seen before. I'm talking shit to Knicks fans in the street. Every time I see a Knicks hat, I'm talking shit. I'm betting every single game. They're covering every fucking single game. Bam. It's Brooklyn Nets Weekly. Talk to me, man.
Shit is too easy. It's the white man can't jump. I don't even want to play anymore. It's just the games are not even fun. That Orlando game was not fun to watch.
It started off a little sus. You know, I was like, all right, well, you know, they've been winning too much. Maybe it's something to make them think. But it wasn't even that. The game was
over midway through the second quarter. The Magic knew it. The Nets knew it. The refs knew it. All 300 fans in attendance knew it. The viewers at home knew it. I knew it. I was watching more of the Knicks game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I watched the game carefully. I was looking for an angle to do a podcast, a post-game podcast. But really, like, I don't think the Nets fans need me to come on and say, we're really good. We're really, really good. I love this. Yeah. We're really, really good. Thank God there's stuff to talk about, man. You know, because really it's kind of boring being this freaking good.
One thing we have to keep in mind is teams go on, hot streaks. There will be some adversity at some point. They'll lose 2 in a row. They'll look like they have some cracks in their armor. So as good as things are now, without Durant, this is not a championship team. They wouldn't win it all. Mm-hmm. So there's still, improvements that need to be made with the team, rotation-wise, and things like that. So it's great to be happy, but
so
there's still work to be done.
Let's expound on that. Let's talk a little bit more about that, right? What I'm seeing with this team is, like, without Durant, they're the Houston Rockets, and we don't even have some of the components that the Houston Rockets have. But the thing that the Nets have that the Houston Rockets didn't have is they have ridiculous amount of shooting. Joe Harris,
it's absurd.
Yeah, like it. They in theory put those type of guys around Harden in Houston, but there was never a Joe Harris who's going to shoot 50% from three on those teams. Ryan Anderson, they tried to make that guy. He never really shot over 40%. Eric Gordon was they try to say, hey, you're kind of wide open, just shoot threes and you should be good. And he could never really be consistent. So Joe Harris is more of a weapon than we give him credit, and I think that's part of the formula. And then the other thing is we're getting ridiculous minutes out of Green. Like he's been, you've said it, I've said it. He's been the signing of the year in the NBA, like just a steal.
Well, I mean, you could argue it was Bruce Brown trade too, but the thing they're getting out of the other players is, like, the Rockets had guys that can score 15 points a game like Joe does. It's the efficiency that they're getting out of the other guys. Like, Green is shooting 40% from three. Bruce Brown only takes layups. He's like a center. He's shooting like 68%. So when those guys do get their turns, they're converting them at a very high rate.
Right.
That's the difference. Like, I was talking about this with my brother the other day. It's hard to make a run on the Nets because they score every time down the floor. Right. So even
they put pressure on you to match their scoring.
Yeah. Even like during the Clipper game a couple weeks back, like they cut it to 6 at one point. I was like, but like, so like the other team caught a little fire. But now the Nets will continue to score and they'll start missing. And just like that, I'm right back up to 12 in a couple possessions. They hit back-to-back threes. It's back to 12. They make you almost play out of your comfort zone because their teams are cognizant that they have to keep up. It's like a great offensive team in football. It puts pressure on the other offense.
Yeah, nah. they're doing things that I've never seen done before on the offensive side of the ball, and they're playing better defense, but I don't think anyone looks at their defense and goes, I feel like their offense is their defense. The pressure that they put on teams to score with them, or when they start to run, you're looking out there and you're seeing that's Kyrie Irving, that's James Harden, and you mean to tell me I've got to, work on a double team of one, a hedge on both of these guys and guard Joe Harris,
right?
God forbid Shamet gets hot. The kid I wanted to kind of spotlight and get your take on was Tyler Johnson. Okay. Tyler Johnson, for me, I look at Tyler Johnson. He's very trailer park looking. He looks like he's from like Ocala, Florida.
Yeah,
I don't even know where he's from. Or
he looks like he has smelly pits.
Yeah, he does. He does. He looks like he just doesn't wash. He just like gets dressed after games and goes home. But he's been fucking amazing, y'all. Like,
yeah, what he is? He's a calm presence out there. He doesn't force too much. Mm-hmm. And one thing I'll say about him, I think he understands. Everybody on the team can put the ball in the basket. He is dogging guys on defense. He knows that that's his path to minutes.
Right.
And a guy like him he has the opportunity. He's going to play in a lot of primetime games. He's going to be playing in the playoffs. He's thinking, how can I turn this into a $5 million a year contract with another team?
Right. Who can I sucker out of a contract next?
Right.
But like, I think he's played really, really well. And you know what? I just don't understand how the Nets are good. I don't understand how the Nets, defy gravity the way that they do, because
they score 130 points a game. That's the answer.
But they're doing with it a bunch of 6'4" guys. Like it's just weird to watch. It's weird to watch a guy who was a point guard in college, or at the most a combo guard in college,
right,
in the dunker spot. Who gets the credit for putting this together? Is it D'Antonio or is it Nash?
My honest opinion is it's us Net fans on Twitter, and I think Steve Nash, in between his TikToks, took some advice from everybody was calling for this guy to play from the get-go.
Right.
Everybody was doing it. And so I see a lot of people like, how do you like Steve Nash now? I like him the same as I liked him a month ago. He's not bringing anything to the table. They just have ridiculous players. And Harden is, basically coaching the team on the floor.
Well, I'm going to say that's unfair. And here's why. I watched him make in-game adjustments.
Such as?
I'll give you an example. So, they come out, they're losing to Orlando at first. Vucevic is killing us. And so, I know this is a cliche small ball thing. When Vucevic was killing us, he goes smaller. And they start running circles around this dude. And Vucevic starts tracing people. And somehow they turned what I've always considered a net negative to a net positive. And they take Vucevic off the court. And then he just finds a way to just find mismatches that just got us to take the lead. When we took the lead in that game in Orlando, it was weird, but Kyrie was on the floor without Harden.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen that before. It seemed like I started being one of those people with the conspiracy theory of, Kyrie doesn't want to play on the floor if there's not another superstar on there. But for the first time, I saw him run like I guess the little small or short attack strike force, and they just outran them and ran them out the gym. It was weird to watch, but I got to give Nash credit.
Yeah, look, is he doing some like minor things that are better? I guess, but I'll even go back to the Clipper game. They went small. And they made their run because Jordan was still out there. He has Jordan chasing around poor Jordan. He was too slow to react to that. And it's easy when you're blowing teams out by 20 or you're up 10 the whole game to coach. There's not much adjustments to be made. You stick with your rotation. you know, he's, you know, like, what do you think the Knicks record would be if he was coaching the Knicks? They'd be horrible.
But I think it's courses for horses, right? Like I thought if there was a coach that was going to work for the Nets, it would have to be somebody that Kyrie would listen to. Now Kyrie doesn't listen to Nash. He doesn't listen to anybody. He does what he wants. But I see it in the eyes of the players on the court. Like they're looking him in the eye. Like in the last days of Atkinson, I was watching them not look at him in huddles. I was watching Karras was who I've always called the Nets Derek Jeter. Character guy, respectful guy. Needing to be respectful to Kenny to keep getting minutes. He'd look in Kenny's eyes, but in the end, he started kind of like just turning his back on Kenny. And what I see is a team.
I think Nash's best thing is that he's not a coach by nature, whereas like a guy like Atkinson's been doing. He was a grinder.
Right.
Nash doesn't really have an ego, and I think one thing I'll give him some credit is he's smart enough to know that the players know what they're doing. Like he doesn't have to overcoach with them. Yeah. He could just kind of let them play and then, pitch him when he sees fit.
And that's what people don't like about him is that he doesn't overcoach. They want him to call, a bunch of timeouts. He's like, I think Nash just goes, when I was a player, I didn't need D'Antoni to stop me to tell me that, and this is a D'Antoni trait as well. Like the Knicks beat writers used to crush D'Antoni for not calling timeouts. But D'Antoni used to say, he's a big boy. They know what they're doing. These are professional players. You've got to let them play sometimes unless I see something that I need them to know. And
it's got to be eating him alive. The assistant coach on this team. It has to be. He's got to be like, I'm a better coach than this guy. And I've just never had a roster quite like this.
He's had some good rosters though.
100%.
He's had some good rosters.
100%.
If he coached them up a little bit, this team doesn't need a great coach. It needs a great communicator. It needs a guy that's going to keep them together, manage the egos, and understand. Really, this team needs a player who's going to. I feel like Nash fits the Nets better than Thibodeau fits the Knicks for where they are. The Knicks are playing well prematurely.
I mean, Thibodeau definitely would not have worked.
Oh, he would not have worked for us at all. At all. You're doing it again.
You got to get rid of this guy.
You're doing it again with your Long Island bandwidth.
I'm here, dude. I hear you.
We don't hear you is the problem. All right, cool. No worries. Bam is breaking in a new crib, so he's gonna get all the stuff together. But repeat what you just said.
James Harden would have came to the Nets on the condition that they fired Thibodeau if he was the coach.
Nah, it wouldn't fit. It wouldn't fit for what we're trying to do. And you know what? We're really not gonna know until the playoffs comes. The mark of a great coach is getting over adversity. The Nets had little kind of bitch ass adversity, but really that was just them warming up to each other and getting to know each other. They hit 15 games together and just
they weren't trying hard.
I think they were though. You know why I think they were trying hard, Bam? And then I want you to respond to this. I think they were trying hard because, like, immediately, the way that Harden came here and the doubters and the people like myself who didn't believe it would work, I think they were trying hard to prove that this was going to be great, but it needed the time that it needed for everyone to kind of figure each other out.
I think they thought they were trying hard. My coach in college always used to say, "You guys think you're trying hard, but you're not." And I think that was like they weren't like dogging it, but they weren't going full tilt. I don't think they were mentally invested. I think they kind of had we could just kind of stroll out there and do this. And I also think James was working his way into shape.